Joining us now is a man I'm so proud of, so amazingly inspiring. It's about grit and determination and never giving up, especially when you got nuts and bolts in your spine and the sea has been so unkind that you want to go back and not just traverse the seas, but conquer it across the world. Abhilash Tomy, Commander Abhilash Tomy, Namaste, Jai Hind, and double salute.
Namaste, and thank you for having me here today, Anand.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Uh, Tell me, take us through how many months at sea and what you've done with the Golden Globe race. How many months at sea and how did it all happen?
Well, it's 235 days.
Wow. And
Yeah,
alone.
yeah, of course. It's easier that way.
Only
Um,
one crazy on the board. No, it's like that.
yeah, no uncertainties. You don't have to, motivate somebody else to work. You don't have to give excuses, give orders, take orders. So it's much easier like that. But what I did is a circumnavigation, which is I went around the world alone without stopping using technology of 1968, and it also was a race. So there were other entrants. We started from France on the 4th of September from a seaside town called La Sable d'Olonne, headed south, went through a gate in Lanzarote, crossed the equator, went around Trinidad Island in Brazil, headed to a gate in Cape Town, then rounded Cape of Good Hope, crossed the Indian Ocean, went through Tasmania, and rounded New Zealand, Pacific, Cape Horn, back in the Atlantic, cross the equator, and finish at La Sable d'Olonne.
Wow, that's quite a journey. Alone at sea, the vagaries of the ocean, the challenges of the ocean. And you've done this before. 2018, you were what? You were stuck for nearly what, 70 hours, if not more. Traumatic experience, severely injured. Why would you want to go back?
Well, I tell people that I've got Stockholm syndrome. I fell in love with the sea. That's how to destroy me.
No, but now you've conquered the seas, isn't it? And then you are a Kirti Chakra awardee. I have to tell our viewers that. And then he's taken VRS because he wanted to go back and do what was unfinished back in 2018. That takes a lot of resolve, Abhilash. That takes a lot of resolve.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I have some important decorations and awards, but I believe that's for a moment. I did a non-stop circumnavigation in 12-13, for which the government of India, generously gave me very important awards. But for me, that was 2013. In 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, for the rest of the life, it's not valid. It comes with an expiry in a way. 2018, I had an invitation to do a round the world race, and I built a boat in India. And with the immense support of the Navy, I managed to make it to the start line, which itself was a big task. And 3 months later, 82 days later, I was in third position when I met with a severe storm in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The boat was knocked down. I had a fall of about anywhere between 15 and 30 feet. I fell on a aluminum pole, which is called the boom, broke my back. 30 minutes later, I realized that I couldn't stand up. My legs were not functioning, and I had to call for rescue. At that time, I didn't know how long it took for the rescue, because I had no idea of telling whether it was day or night or how many days it passed. I didn't have a watch because it parted from my hand. But it was roughly 3.5 days before help reached, and I was immobile, not eating, not drinking anything except iced tea, which was the nearest thing. Just waiting for rescue, making plans for the next race. I had a lot of time at hand. And I was rescued and taken to an island called Amsterdam Island, which is part of the French subantarctic territories, and then stabilized medically. And then an Indian naval ship was diverted from another operation, and it sailed straight to 40 South, picked up in a helicopter, taken to the ship, brought back to India, taken to a hospital. After 16 days of the accident, I come to know that I got spine fractures, four of
My
them.
God.
And doctor said,
Four spine fractures.
yes, four fractures in the vertebrae. And I was told that, if even if you try to get up, you could be paralyzed for life. So in that supine position, I was transported into an aircraft, special aircraft, which took me to Delhi and taken to the best neurosurgeon in India, who was Air Commodore Sridhar. I hope he's been promoted by now. Yeah, and he operated my spine, fused 5 vertebrae into a single piece. And there are 2 titanium rods with 8 screws. And when I look at the X-ray, it feels as if the screws are pointing exactly at my spinal cord, as if, a little bit of movement and it'll puncture my spinal cord.
Bunch of my spinal cord.
Yeah, but it was a time when I just couldn't walk, couldn't get up. I needed crutches to get up from a chair, lot of help to get up from the bed. And from that point, it was therapy. 2 months later, after 2 months of sick leave, I joined duty. 6 months later, the Navy cleared me to fly and sail.
Wow, you're back on your feet and you cleared the fitness test and you could fly and sail.
Yes, not just a fitness test. I cleared the emergency drills for flying, which is like they blindfold you, put you inside an aircraft, strap you up, and put the entire aircraft underwater. And you count for 5 seconds, and then you make an escape through a small hatch, and then you have to swim out with full flying clothing. That was tough. Trust me, that was tough. But I cleared all that, and
That's tough for any ordinary human being. You're somebody who's had a traumatic near-death experience. You got your vertebrae fused into one, titanium rods in your spine. You've just started walking 6 months ago.
And
And
not just that, there are a lot of things that you don't see, like your lung capacity is now reduced.
yeah.
Your HP count has dropped to 50%, immediately after the surgery. So a lot happened for me to get back into shape. But yeah, by the grace of God, by the support of my family, friends, and especially the Navy, I was able to
Get back into the field.
become my normal self.
Yeah, amazing. And then, acha, okay, back to work. Then what is the
That's
skida about going, taking VRS, this Navy backed you to the hilt, and then you said, sorry, thank you very much. I got to go because I want to go back racing again, do the global race again, Golden Globe race again.
Well, the Navy was always supporting, but one of my, let's say, ambitions was to find private support for sailing. I believe that, let's say, a sport like cricket has thrived because of private support,
Yeah.
right? And I believe that sailing is reaching a stage where if we get private support, it will thrive in India. And I believe in sailing for the simple reason that, I think this sport changes the character of a person who engages with it. You become more patient, you become well read. You have to do everything from cleaning a toilet to maintaining machinery to stuff like that. You don't have a full team which is constantly giving you massages, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's not
So
luxury. It's
exactly.
yeah.
And sailing is another sport that can be indulged purely for leisure, or for character building, or for training, or for competition, and it has no age limit. The Golden Globe race of 2018 was won by a gentleman who was over 70 years.
Wow.
Right. So you can always, let's say, make up for a lack of physical ability with a sharper mind, right, with experience. So for all these reasons, I think sailing should be promoted in India. And we got a coastline that is 7,500 kilometers, which is very envious and warm waters. It's a fantastic sailing place. So, like I said, I wanted private players to get interested, and I thought that there was phenomenal value in what I was doing for any sponsor. And thankfully, I found, I think, a very, very good sponsor in Bayanath.
That was the name of your boat also, and Bayanath has come back and backed you to the hilt. But then when
Exactly.
you
So that's the thing about sailing. Everybody has to take the name of Bayanath because that's the name of my boat also.
So you did it very smartly. But so kudos to your sponsors. You got somebody to back you, to believe in somebody who's got a spine which is filled by titanium rods, somebody who got crushed the last time around but wants to go at it again, somebody who's given up his naval career because he wants to do this. So it's like some junoon. But along with this junoon, through the race, you have to do a lot of jugaad, I'm given to understand. Yeah? What happened this time around? How many storms did you encounter? And I believe you used what? Your some table and some other makeshift wooden equipment to create your steers.
Yep. We don't call it jugaad. I mean, it's an Indian term. We got something English and sounds a little respectable, which is jury rig. So the thing is, I didn't have too much time to prepare the boat. It was just a month and a half, and it's in a way, it's not right to go for a non-stop circumnavigation with all these conditions,
Hmm.
having prepared a boat in a month and a half. So I didn't really have time to test out the boat, and it's an opportunity. You can't say I'll wait for another 4 years and then look for another sponsor and stuff like that. So I had an opportunity. I grabbed it with both hands, and then if there was a what do you call it, something less, I would make it up with my experience and skills. So that was my plan. So I started sailing, and then the boat started telling me that you didn't prepare me too well, and
Hmm.
I had a lot of little nagging issues,
Hmm.
including, yeah, like you said, I had the autopilot is something that steers the boat, which helps you sleep. And if you steer the boat for 48 hours, you end up with hallucination. So you cannot sail a boat even for more than 2 days without an autopilot. And this one is a mechanical autopilot, which has got a vane on top, which is plywood, and a metal piece, aluminum, that goes into the water that produces the strength to steer the tiller. And the first aluminum piece, the paddle broke in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The
My.
second one broke in the Pacific, and I thought the third one would last at least till the equator. But the third one broke, I think, a couple of weeks after the second one broke. So
Hmm.
I was in the worst possible place on the planet. And my wife was today telling me that, God has made that place like that so that humans don't go there.
Don't go there. Correct.
It's regularly gets storms of 60, 70 knots, which is in India would be a super cyclone.
Yeah.
And I had two of them.
Wow.
I had two of them, and I had a dysfunctional autopilot. I had Chile on one side, and I was getting pushed into Chile. You call it a lee shore in sailing. So the wind is pushing you onto land, which is dangerous,
Yeah.
and the depth is reducing from 3,000 meters to just 100 meters. So the waves build up there.
Build up there. Correct.
That was quite crazy, and I, cut my toilet door and made a blade and put it, and that broke. And I opened my hatch covers and I made a blade out of that. That broke. And finally, I dismantled my rudder and plugged it into the wind pilot, and that worked. And I
That
sailed.
work.
Oh yeah, I sailed 20,000 kilometers with it. And when I arrived,
Wow.
in La Sable d'Olonne, um, that was a main attraction.
How did you do it with a rudder, dude? 20,000 kilometers with a makes you
Exactly.
prouder for your
And
autopilot.
yes, an anchor is supposed to stop the boat, but I used to steer it.
Steer it. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Uh, but at any point, did you think, why am I doing this? Why did I get into all of this through the course of this 235 days? Or did you still believe that you're going to get there?
It's not a question of getting or not getting there, but I believe that if you ask yourself that question, then you've already failed. And this is something that I kind of, paid attention to when I was doing the circumnavigation 12, 13. And for me, success is not finishing, but I should not ask myself, why am I doing this? It basically means that you yourself don't have faith in what you're doing. There was not a moment when I asked, why am I doing this? Um, I just kept dealing with the problems till the problems gave up.
Wow, I love that line. I'm going to hold on to this line. I'm going to write it down here to say, deal with your problems till your problems give up. Abhilash, phenomenal, Commander. Phenomenal. Let me also ask you, if you're looking like this, were you looking like this when you got onto the boat 235 days ago?
Oh no,
The-
I was I had fuller cheeks and less wrinkles, and
so you did lose some weight. You have lost some weight. You look a little different.
yeah, I was 92 kilos when I started, and with massive legs and
Hmm.
biceps and whatever, shoulders, and now I'm desiccated. Um, I'm what the freeze-dried version of food. Uh,
So you're what now? 65 kilos? Somewhere
I
about that?
I think about 70, so I must have lost about 20, 25.
Wow, 25 kilos.
Yeah.
It's the exertion, or is it lack of food, or is it a combination of everything?
It's a combination of everything. So one thing is eating food is a social habit. You eat more when you're in company.
Yeah.
The kind of food that you eat matters. So you're not getting, what you feel like eating. You've got freeze dry, which looks very good on the pictures, but try eating it. Trust me, it's different.
So
Or
did you
you
live
got
off the sea? Did
no,
you?
no,
Hmm.
no, no. That's like wasting time in a race.
In a race, correct. You can't, you're not there for leisure. But were you able to stay in touch with your family? Did you have?
No, that was a big problem because this race stipulates that you can only use 1968 technology, which is high frequency radios. The only time I could speak with my family was when I was passing through the gates and my sponsors flew down. They used to hold an iPad, next to the boat. I couldn't even touch the iPad. They could hold the iPad in front of me and do a video call. And that's how I saw my kid go to school for the first time.
Oh, you missed that.
I missed that. Yeah, and I saw my wife's face when they did that in Tasmania. And throughout the race, if I found a ship, let's say in the Atlantic, if I found a ship, I'll call them and I ask them, "Can you please send a message to my wife?" And a lot of them obliged. There were Filipinos, there were Chinese, there were Sri Lankans, Turkish, Indian sailors, Myanmari sailors. All of them obliged. They would send a message to my wife, and I used to pray like hell that my wife responded, and I was still close to the ship so that they could pass the message to me.
Passes the message to you. Oh, and did that happen? Did she respond?
Oh, quite a lot of times. And there was
That's
this,
good.
yeah, there was this incident when the Chinese guy on one ship sent a message to my wife. She sent a reply. The Chinese read it out to me, but I was too far away. So a Turkish guy on another ship read it out to me.
So sweet. So humanity exists. Huh? People do care, irrespective of nationalities. They
That,
understand.
that's the thing about sailors. We don't have boundaries, and you'll
Lovely.
always see a sailor with open palms, ready to help.
Correct. Phenomenal. So now you're going to go back and see your wife. You're going to see your kids. Are they going to recognize you?
I'll wear a mask.
No, but at the end of it all, what happened when you came back to where you started? You finished the race, but you finished it behind. You came second, so congratulations on that. Phenomenal work. It's about. But there's a South African lady who finished ahead of you, and that's also a record of sorts. Uh, uh, did you guys share notes? Did you people share notes when you landed, or what was your feeling when you got there?
Well, I was like totally lost because I was now entering a realm that was not mine. Uh, too
Hmm.
many faces of friends, and I kind of could not recognize them. People I'd known for 15 years, I just didn't realize that it's them. Um, I was confused, and it took a while for me to learn to walk.
Hmm.
But Kirsten, she landed a day before me, and she came out with the Indian flag, and she jumped on the boat, and she gave me a big hug, and she was waving the Indian flag. And
So
then
sweet.
Ian, who had a 100-knot storm of
Yeah.
Cape Horn, yeah, he he wrecked his boat, lost his boat, and he was picked up by a Taiwanese fishing boat. He, instead of going home to England, he came to La Sable d'Olonne because our tragedies are similar. What I had in
Yeah.
28, he had in 2022, and he was just looking for a closure. And we hugged and we had a long chat, and it was good.
Oh, phenomenal. I believe Kirsten also saved the life of a fellow sailor, and she got about a 24-hour bonus because of that. Is that true?
Yeah, so we both were close to the sailor called Tapio, and the race organizers contacted us saying that his boat has sunk. This was in the Indian Ocean, the first few days of the Indian Ocean, and we got a message that his boat sank. And sorry,
Hmm.
and I responded first, although I was slightly farther from Kirsten, and I diverted immediately, and I headed for rescuing him. And I think a few hours later, Kirsten responded and she also turned. Now, since she was closer, I was released from the rescue and Kirsten went and picked him up.
Hmm.
And then he was, sorry, he was transferred to a ship called Darya Gayatri. There was an Indian element in the rescue.
Yeah, there was the Indian element to the rescue too. Phenomenal. So what next? Let me ask you. I have to say a story of inspiration. I'm so charged. I'm going to write that and I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. That deal with your problems till the problems give up. Is that what you said?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what you said. I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life, Abhilash. But what next for you?
Well, a lot of fish curry rice, Malabar parota. So looking forward to having some good Indian food.
Well, come back home soon. Come back home soon. Your country waits you, misses you. Your family misses you, and of course, your own country, your own state, Kerala, and Kerala cuisine misses you. So, see you at home soon, Abhilash. See you at
But
home.
Plus, I live in Goa and I've become a big fan of fish curry rice there.
Oh, so when are you coming back?
Making a plan. I've got some obligations right now to settle the boat. And once that's done, I'll take a couple of days off and then be home.
Then you'll be home. So see you at home very, very soon. Thank you so much. Wonderful speaking with you. Phenomenal work. Phenomenal. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, Anand.